SL1 examination, so the paper structure and the syllabus components. So thereafter, course content, how myself and Indunil are covering the session. So what are the key modules in this particular course offered by Infinity? Then study plan. So the time frames that you need to adhere in watching the videos and completing the essential theory module and the exam preparation module. Thereafter, prerequisite for the examination success, what sort of discipline that you need to maintain to successfully complete the examination from your end. And most importantly, finally, we'll be discussing in detail curriculum revision, because SL1 subject learning outcomes have been changed for the upcoming examination for the first time. So these changes will be discussed in the at last, right? So these are the areas that we need to cover. At the end, we'll be having a Q&A session where you can clarify whatever the doubts that you have in terms of the course SL1, right? With that note, what we can do is I'll invite Indunil to explain the integrated perspective of this paper, because this is not just financial reporting, it's not just risk and governance, it is integrated subject where you need to have the knowledge of a CFO. So you actually train to act as a future CFO through this subject. So let me introduce, or let me actually ask Indunil to explain the integrated perspective of the paper.
Yeah, thanks, Dasun. Wish you all the best, students. And I know that this course has been very popular. Both Dasun and myself, we were delivering this course from the inception of this syllabus, and we usually see that a lot of students join in, but nowadays students are not serious to join live session. But having said that, when this is uploaded, I'm sure most of you will be benefited. And especially one thing we need to really encourage, whenever there is a live session, right, please make sure you are attending, because then otherwise there is some complacency that, you know, while we give full freedom for you to watch at any time. That's the beauty of this course. Otherwise, you know, I remember when we were teaching physically, how students from various parts of the country, maybe Jaffna, Gold, how struggling they are to come to Colombo to attend our lectures. And now from anywhere you can watch. While that is the case, to reduce the complacency, we highly recommend you, whenever there is a live session, that boosts your motivation and to make sure that you are aligned. So similarly, this very first session will really help you to understand that how we deliver. Now itself you can see the entire syllabus, and again that's the beauty of it, because traditionally we worry whether, you know, students worry whether syllabus will be covered or not. But now everything you will see in this session, that how every week your syllabus will be covered 100%, plus how the revision is going to cover. So with that note, if you look at the slide, that this is one of the very challenging paper, and also I would like to say this is a paper that enable you to raise your voice at the boardroom, or to make you more confident to get into the boardroom. So don't discount and see that study is different from practice, right? So both myself and Dasun, we are practitioners. So Dasun is like a CFO of a larger company, you know, doing all of this practically, and I have been practicing governance risk for more than about 15 years plus, and teaching over 20 years, about 20 years, right? So you will wonder what you learn at the end of this course. So therefore, about ABR, it's called Advanced Business Reporting. It's not called Advanced Financial Reporting, because it's the language of the business. So you need to understand not only financial reporting, how business creates value, strategies, how board of directors looks at it, and whether the decisions are made in the right way. So that is where the elements, like now, if you look at the governance and NFR element, and during the syllabus revision, there were a lot of comments that NFR has not been very much tested. And I'm sure in subsequent papers starting from this course, there will be more attention to NFR. When we say NFR, it's about integrated reporting, it's about GRI framework and various other frameworks. And if you are supposed to do an annual report of a company. Annual report is not just doing something for printing purpose, right? But actually to capture how the company creates value. So that governance and NFR part will be very soon. You will see a pilot paper under new syllabus, and I will talk more specifically some of the, rationale behind this, some of the changes. So governance and NFR is a key area, more from a strategy and board of directors point of view in this paper. And then, like I said, the doing the right way of business is 5%, right? Now, together with that, you will see this risk of misstatement 25 and SLFRSS. Why those two are in the same color, 35 plus 25 if you take, right? So what is the weightage? It's about 60% of your syllabus. And if you are a brilliant student, you will actually use the accounting standards knowledge to interpret the risk behind financial statements. And the students who really understand that connection is pitching for 60% of the syllabus. And both Dasun is doing a separate session about, how the financial, accounting standards to be analyzed from risk angle. And I am also in my module having a separate session from how you interpret from while we now don't say, if you look at this slide for the previous batch, this 25 was worded as kind of audit. Now we changed that name as risk and control aligned with the new learning outcome. And that 25%, if you look at as a breakdown in the right side box, you can see that predominantly, I think it's chapter 26 is a key chapter. And now some of you may not be aware, now auditing standard is not open book anymore. And instead, Institute is going to allow you to carry a separate reference manual that you can refer. That's a great thing to hear. Rather than memorizing this content. So risk of misstatement, internal control, data analytics. So those, especially risk and internal control, will be available as a part of that study text chapters for you for open book. So that's where if you look at in total, that the area that I am contributing to this, right? So that 25% and governance and NFR 15 and 5%. So together that 45% of the syllabus, but you should never, right, ever separate this, because it's all about advanced business reporting. So now Dasun can also talk to you about how SLFRS consolidation and how in the exam these have been tested to look at the paper from a holistic angle. You would like to add any comments there, Dasun?
Yeah, obviously, like, so basically, Indunil has correctly mentioned the connectivity, right? So you should look this as one paper. Now, for an example, if I take a example, accounting standard, let's take LKS 37, provisions, contingent liabilities, and contingent assets. So as per that standard, provisions are to be measured at best estimate. So when it comes to the best estimate, obviously, there's a judgment estimate involved from the management perspective. So that would lead to a risk of material misstatement, right? So that is the connectivity of the SLFRSs and the risk and control part, right? As Indunil mentioned, in addition to discussing all the SLFRSs, we have about 25 to 30 accounting standards to be discussed in this paper. In addition to the discussion of these accounting standards, I have done a separate session. Actually, it goes to 6 hours to explain the connectivity between the SLFRSs and the risk of material misstatement, right? In addition to that, when it comes to the financial reporting aspect, you need to learn about the consolidation, in and out of the consolidation, all the areas of consolidation. So including the consolidation of foreign subsidiary, preparation of consolidation cash flows, different disposal scenarios. So that is actually the coverage in terms of the SLFRSs. So while when I'm discussing the study plan, I will give you how I'm going to cover each of these areas with the time frame available. Yes, Indunil, over to you.
Right. So the other thing I want to briefly touch upon is the syllabus change. Now, at a glance, if you look at the syllabus change, is all about, I mentioned this rationale behind the syllabus change, right? The main rationale is to look at the paper. That's when if you just animate, yeah. Now, this was some students understood, right? This from audit perspective, auditing paper. Again, auditing is there in this subject. So that Even from the beginning, that thought process, if you go through the syllabus carefully, it is not auditing. If anybody says this is auditing, that is probably a misunderstanding. And now with this, difficulty of setting even exam question, we saw some of the past papers, the audit procedures had been tested. So even we wrote to the institute that, according to this syllabus, this paper, you can't test audit procedures. Now, right, to everybody's clarity, very clearly the letter issued by the institute, I am just capturing 3 points from there. One is that, okay, while the risk of misstatements are there, some terms used in auditing also there. For example, assertions. If you don't know assertion, you're going to really struggle in this 25% of syllabus coverage, right? So assertion from CFO's angle, when a set of accounts are produced, right? How, for example, inventory valuation or financial instrument, a derivative valuation could go wrong in terms of applying accounting standard. So that is how CFO looks at the valuation assertion. So assert means, if you look up the dictionary, declare something to be true. Assert means somebody says something we don't know. When management produce, say this is investment property valuation, there is an assertion, right? That valuation is right, but we need to really break valuation down. What is the data, right? That is being used, the discounting rate and any other assumption, and evaluate and see is there a risk in investment property valuation. And that angle, if CFO understand how my auditor will also look at, break this valuation into pieces and evaluate the nitty-gritty, and CFOs to have same understanding, right? So that is where the second point being, audit procedures will not be tested. And to make life easier for students in the syllabus, they have removed references to auditing standards, and also auditing standards open book is no longer available. However, you should not misunderstand, when you go through the study text, you will still see the auditing standard knowledge is incorporated. So meaning when you study some of these risks, you have to use auditing concepts, the inherent risk, control risk, everything, right? But then there is no hassle for you to think like a typical auditor to write audit procedure. Instead, we are looking from a business angle, how my set of accounts can be misstated. It may be applicability of going concern assumption or any other assertion level risk. It may be a risk in relation to financial statement, like the board is corrupted. So those are also big risks. So that is the whole idea behind the syllabus change. I'll maybe spend another 5-10 minutes at the end to look at this in little detail. Dasun, over to you.
Right. So as Indunil mentioned, we'll discuss about the syllabus change in detail at the latter part of the presentation, right? So moving forward, so get to know your exam, right? So you have two sections in the exam, SL1, section 1 and section 2. Each carries 50 marks. In section 1, you have 2 questions, 25 marks each. Both are actually scenario-based questions, mainly from the accounting standards and the risk of material misstatement, right? So each question, 25 marks, 2 questions, 50 marks. Then the second question or the second section is actually the unseen. So you are given a common pre-scene 1 month before the examination, and based on that pre-scene, so you need to analyze the pre-scene. So definitely myself and Indunil will help you. Last time we conducted actually 8 hours session. It kind of a marathon session for the pre-scene analysis. This time also we'll do the same. So then at the exam, you are given the unseen and you need to answer to the question which carries actually 50 marks. So it is a 3 hours paper, but you are given 15 minutes additional reading time. You obviously know that the pass mark is 50, but don't target for 50, target 90 plus, then at least you will be end up by having 50. Okay, right. So then introducing how can we help you in terms of getting through this paper. So what we did was actually the entire course we divided into 2 modules. One is essential theory module, the other one is exam preparation module. In essential theory module, what happens is all topics are covered in the form of recorded videos. So this is the benefit that you have as explained by Indunil, because these videos can be watched anytime, anywhere, any number of times. And it is ensured that 100% of the syllabus is covered 1 month before the examination. So we'll discuss about the syllabus coverage in detail once we look at the time frame. Then, even though this is the theory module, it doesn't mean that we discussed only theory. With regard to financial reporting, what I do is I'll be discussing at least one question from each learning outcome to understand how to apply the theory to the scenario. Because as explained earlier, when it comes to the exam paper, what you have is the complex scenarios. So to answer to this, you should have the theoretical knowledge, but in addition to that, you should know how to apply the theory from the perspective of the CFO in a real life scenario. So that would be practiced with the essential theory module. Then most importantly, I need you to pay attention to this very carefully. Study plan. So how are you going to ensure that you are successfully completing this examination in June 2023? For that, what you need to do is you need to ensure that you are disciplined enough to follow this study plan, because this is a professional examination. It's not like your O levels, A levels, or university exams where you can do something at the very last moment and get through the examination. No, that's not going to work here. So as Indunil mentioned, SL1, the pass rates are really low in the past, right? So because of that, you need to make a good effort to get through this particular paper, right? So what is included here is you have 3 columns: section and the video name, and thereafter the date on which we are uploading the videos to the LMS. Now, as I mentioned, with regard, this is actually the financial reporting part. Indunil will take you through the risk control and the governance aspects, how he's going to, upload the videos into the LMS. This is with regard to the financial reporting. Now, if you look at as per date, by 6th January, we have already uploaded asset related standards. You have actually 9 asset related standards, right? All these things are now available in the LMS. Then with regard to the framework, regulatory framework and the conceptual framework is also uploaded in the LMS. Then with regard to the presentation of financial statements, there are 5 accounting standards which are also uploaded into LMS. And at last, on 6th, we have uploaded LKS 37 provisions, contingent liabilities, and contingent asset standard. It doesn't matter. Let's say you have not yet started, but today is the date where you should start. So you need to ensure that you maintain the discipline of completing watching the videos on the particular week itself, because from my end, as well as from the administration perspective of Infinity, we'll ensure that we'll stick to this schedule, we'll stick to this plan and upload the videos on weekly basis. So it's your duty to watch these videos on weekly basis. So most of you are working, that I know, but what you need to do is you have to live with the subject within the next 5 to 6 months, which means you need to at least allocate couple of hours every day to watch these videos and for your studies, right? So with these videos, we'll be providing the tutorials as well. So it doesn't matter at what time you study, because if you are a person who wants to study at the early morning, what you can do is you can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, study a couple of hours up to 6. And if you're tired, you can have a small nap and get ready and go to work. On the other hand, if you're a person who wants to study at night, after coming back, you can have a wash and spend a couple of hours for your studies. So somehow or the other, ensure that you do this on daily basis, right? So moving forward, so in future, now the next standard is a very important one, which I'm going to upload, revenue recognition. So you have so this particular standard SLFRS 15 is repeatedly tested in the examination, very important one. Likewise, so this is the second slide. So all the accounting standards, right? All the accounting standards. Now, if I name it disclosure related standard, there are a couple of standards. I'm not going to go through one by one, but in broad sections, if I go through, then employment benefit, financial instrument, another important aspect, share-based payments, income taxes, leases, other standards, earning per share. By 10th March, we are done with all the accounting standard, right? So by 10th March, we are done with all the accounting standards. Then we are moving to the other important area of the syllabus, that is actually the consolidation. Right, from 17th March, we are starting consolidation. You see, we have given you a break for the new year. We are not going to upload anything on 14th April. Other than that, on weekly basis, we'll be uploading the video. So the consolidation sessions would be completed by 5th of May. And finally, we'll be uploading SLFRS for SME and the SLFRS1 first time adoption of Sri Lanka accounting standards. So this is actually the way that I'm going to cover the session in terms of the financial reporting. What Indunil can do is Indunil can share the way that he's planning to upload the videos with regard to the risk controls and the governance aspect. Over to you, Indunil.
Yeah, sure. So let me share
I'll
my,
stop share my screen.
Right. You can see my screen, no?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Right. So students like Dasun and both, I also mentioned, while this is the best way to study, because it is you who will decide, whether you have to 100% be ready for the exam and prepare. So one beauty of this is one excitement that I want to mention to you is that as far as this area, that governance, risk, ethics, 45%, you will cover this 100% by March, right? And Dasun just mentioned that he will finish except consolidation by 10th March the syllabus. If you look at by that time, 80% of the syllabus done. You see in 3 months. Now, if you take this slide, the corporate governance and non-financial reporting, 15% syllabus coverage, and I have assumed that while the videos are already uploaded, I assume that you are starting your studies from today. And if you are again going to be late from today, you will struggle, right? So 8th January start. And like why the reason that I mentioned to you that you will know how to interact with the board, how board of directors think. So SL1 has a rich content in terms of corporate governance. Traditional, some students think that corporate governance means we have to go through the corporate governance code and memorize it. It is not corporate governance. So some of the topics covered in this paper, it is globally how corporate governance has been practiced. There are certain models how corporate governance, for example, board of directors, there are 2 sessions here, board of directors 1 and 2. You will really learn how board of directors contribute in terms of strategy making, policy setting, accountability, right, and monitoring and challenging the management. Those are really new topics for you, and those are not in the open book. And you need to really understand in a more practical manner, right, how corporate governance is practiced. So as you see, the very first session is about a solid introduction to corporate governance with 2 hours, right? Which you can watch today. And if you're a very successful person, assume there is no tomorrow. That everything that you want to do, you will achieve today, you will be very successful. You can practice this and see the difference that it can make. So likewise, all of this, at the end, you will see study text is 100% covered. Because see, very often in this section, especially examiner directly test on the study text. And again, these are not open books. You need to really have a good understanding. So if you look at while essential theory is delivered, there are case studies. This case study is all about writing your own answers because most of the students lack the understanding of writing an answer. So this paper, the question is uploaded. You can just write your answer and see how I have guided you to write the answer, 40 minutes, right? So like that. So after corporate governance, sound conceptual understanding, we are getting to a lot of topics, practical topics about directors. And then one hot topic for several past paper question is audit committee. So there are 2 sessions and you can see the dates planned for each sessions and they will be uploaded. And now one of the hot topic is non-financial reporting, integrated reporting, GRI, and other frameworks, which you can learn during the same month, January, right? So now by January, this 15% is done. And also you can watch past paper discussion, not watch, is not the right word, start doing past papers, right? And then by March, syllabus is 100% covered, this 45%. And this is the coverage. The area that I have actually changed this according to the new syllabus, and now certain videos already I have uploaded one video about the syllabus change. After this session, please watch that. That's 10 minutes video, and essence of that, maybe not 10 minutes, half an hour video about the syllabus change. But in this session, at the end, I'll spend another 5 minutes. So now if you look at the risk of misstatement, it connects to area like fair valuation, fraud. And there is one session that you will really wonder by looking this session, just one session that will tell you the entire story of risk and control. And that video is available and will be uploaded on 4th February. You know, it's a holiday right now, even the holiday, some sessions are planned. That is to make sure that you are really making use of the time. And then how to connect SLFRS with risks. So Dasun also has a very detailed session. I have a very summarized session as to how do you draw the connection, right? So likewise, there are case studies, and fraud is a separate area. This is one chapter in the study text, chapter 26, and probably this is going to be open book. Again, if it is open book, every critical paragraph, purchase the study text now, right? Sorry, actually you have to check with the institute, not the study text you should have, but the reference manual you can ask, you know, the chapters that are going to be there. Very soon it will come. When it comes, you can purchase it. I definitely by this time it is available. When you watch this video, study text is automatically highlighted, because if you watch our live session, that during the session, after doing the session, I am actually covering the, you know, highlighting, doing all of that notes in the study text itself in the video. You can watch that. So then another critical chapter is internal control. That's actually the course of framework that you will learn and how exam questions are set. And then group financial reporting, materiality, going concern, those topics are still there. And then analytical review. And finally, I mean, by February, these topics. So it's the best time, you know, most of your accounting standards are also going with this period. Is parallelly you are learning risk of misstatement. And finally, there are a few short sessions on ethics. That every paper there is a question on ethics. You can easily score. And after that, there are series of videos on all the past papers. So this is main advice is don't ever watch an answer. You must write your answer and then watch the video and mark your answer. And also, as far as my sessions are concerned, I do limited live sessions because everything I have planned in such a manner that you are guided, right? But then when we after pre-scene, definitely there are live. And then another important aspect is if you demand a lecture that please help us to do a live session to clarify these doubts, we are available. So even in my area, while I am not doing regular live sessions, at any time you can make a request on some areas, say corporate governance, do more questions, definitely available. But before you make that request, I recommend you to go through several case studies that are recorded. And while you watch the video, you will be guided as to how to make your short notes, mind map, everything. So after every end of every video, your short note is going to be completed. So that's how the entire syllabus of this 45% will be delivered, provided you will watch by 6 March, right? If you don't watch, it will go till June and last minute you will struggle. So the main advice, the danger, while this model has a distinct advantage, the danger is that you become very complacent. I have purchased the module, not watch anything, want to do something at the end. The chances of you are failing is very high. Sorry to say that, but that is the reality. Whereas if you are a student from now onwards, you are going to start today to watch this video, start your learning journey, and then you are preparing to get the prize for this subject. So believe me, that is possible. So that's all that is about this part is delivered. So you can take the rest.
Right, let me share my screen once again. Okay, before moving forward, I thought of, as myself and Indunil discussed about the essential theory module video uploads. Let me show you the live screen. So this is how it appeared. As I mentioned, so this is actually the financial reporting part. So as I mentioned, videos up until LKS 37 provisions, contingent liabilities and contingent assets have been uploaded into the LMS. The other big advantage that the students are having at the moment is actually the data cost. Now, you know, you don't need to incur any traveling cost, right? But one of the biggest issue or biggest cost that the student had was in this module or in this method of watching the videos are the data cost. But you know, now data cost is zero. Actually, Infinity is offering this platform in collaboration with Dialog Telecom under very advanced technological method. So if you are having a Dialog connection, you don't need to incur anything on data cost. Even with regard to the other connections, data cost is actually now very nominal fee to be incurred, right? So this is actually one video. Let me play it and show it to you before moving to the exam preparation module as well as the curriculum change in detail, right? This is how it looks like. And
LKS 37 provisions in such a manner where entity through its operation create valid expectation in the minds of the other party that the single item best estimate would be the most likely outcome. If it is large population of similar item, it has to be the expected value. To understand what do you mean by most likely outcome, and also to understand what do
right, so that is about the LMS and the benefits that the students are having of using the Infinity LMS, right? Let me go back to the presentation. Right, so by the end of March, or actually mid of March, we are done with 80% of the syllabus. So Indunil is completing the entire office 45%, and I'm completing the accounting standards. And in April, what we are doing is we are starting the exam preparation module, right? In the exam preparation module, what we focus on mainly is how to craft an answer, how to compile an answer within the time frame available. Now a lot of students are having these two issues. Number one, they have the knowledge, they don't know how to compile an answer, how to craft an answer by looking at the action verbs where the examiner has used, right? And the second thing is, even though they know how to craft an answer, they don't know how to do that within the time frame available. So that's why when it comes to the exam preparation module, what we do is I actually follows, both myself and Indunil follows a blended approach, which means we have the recorded sessions, right? We have the recorded session. In addition to that, we'll be conducting live sessions as well for you to explain how to compile a solid answer within the time frame available, right? So with regard to the financial reporting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover 40 accounting standards questions. These are from the past papers as well as the model papers, right? 40 accounting standards questions and 10 consolidation questions. All these questions are in exam standard. Okay, so covering both past paper questions and the model questions, target questions. And normally in a revision course, you would think that, okay, the lecturer is spending 15 hours, 20 hours in terms of the revision. But remember, in terms of the financial reporting aspect, I am spending with you 70 hours to revise the entire theory knowledge and to explain you how to apply the theory to a scenario when answering to the question. So these 70 hours are consist of 50 hours of pre-recorded videos plus 20 hours of live sessions, altogether 70 hours. In addition to that, Indunil will have separate pre-recorded videos and live sessions. That means altogether we are delivering you a separate revision course, which is named as exam preparation module, right? Which covers actually 100 hours of your syllabus, right? In way of exam type questions. right? This is a massive advantage that the students are having. Please make use of this opportunity. And that's why we are starting the exam preparation module in April, rather than waiting until the last moment. After completing 80% of the syllabus, we'll be starting the exam preparation module, which includes almost 100 hours. Okay, right. Before moving on, do you have any questions? If you have any questions, you can use the chat box, or else you can even unmute by yourself and ask the questions. If not, we can move on. Right, then I'll be moving on. Okay, I explained to you, right? So how I'm going to cover the course. Indunil explained to you how he's going to cover the course. Then what we expect from you. For you to be successful in the examination, I am explaining, I am now putting down 4 things that you need to do. Actually, some of these things we have already discussed. So because of that, I can quickly go through. Number 1, learning with discipline. I told you, myself and the Infinity team will ensure that we maintain our discipline of uploading the video as per the schedule, what I have shown you. Right, so you need to ensure that you are maintaining your discipline of watching the videos in the relevant week. And also, this is an open book examination. You need to collect the publications which are released by CS Sri Lanka with regard to this subject now itself, rather than waiting until the last moment. Then you have to live with the subject. This is not the last time study. So this is a professional examination, right? Whenever you have a free time, you can spend that time to, do something which is important for the examination. Now, for an example, let's say if you are traveling, right? So if you are comfortable, what you need to do is you just need to have a headset where you can watch a video once you are traveling. Let's say if you are going for an outstation audit, what you can do is bring your notes whenever you have a free time, maybe half an hour. With that time, you spend studying, right? Because you have to live with the subject. So during the next 5 to 6 months. Then Indunil mentioned about the mind mapping. So both myself and Indunil, what we do is in each and every session, we do a mind map. Mind map means, so after you read something, after you, study something, you can put that into a diagram to understand the connectivities. If you look at our, videos, so there are a lot of mind mapping is involved. So where you can remember the things easily when it comes to the examination. Then finally, we need to master the art of writing. So one of the common mistakes that the students are having is, so they watch videos, they're just watching, they don't answer by themselves. So the recommendation is, so the questions that we do, right? So you write it by yourself. At least 1 question per week, you need to answer by yourself. Then you are super ready when it comes to the examination time. So master the art of writing, not just watching the videos and waiting. Right, so these are the things that you need to ensure that you are doing it, and if you do it, your chances, your probability of getting through the exam as well as to become a prize winner is really high. Then let me ask this question. Now I was speaking, Indunil was speaking, right? So you're just listening. Let me ask this question from you. Okay, we are at a crisis, right? We are at a crisis, all of us know. So what is the best investment which pay you the highest interest at the moment? You are a student. What is the best investment where you can make to get the highest return at this moment? So you can use the chat box and answer. What is the best investment at the moment which gives you the highest return? Okay, so one answer, treasury bill, right? Gauri. Then Darshan is saying that invest in education, right? What else? What else? Any others? Lahiru is also saying that treasury bills. Okay, 3 answers. So look at this one. As per the famous American writer and scientist, investment in knowledge pays the best interest, right? At the moment, what you need to invest your time and effort mainly is in the gathering of knowledge, education, that would pay you the highest return. For an example, right, let's take our own examples. Indunil is from Polonnaru. I am from down south, right? So both of us were at Jayawardhanapura University. So we came Colombo having nothing actually, right? So today both of us actually invested our time in the past, maybe 10 to 15 years back, right, in education. Because of that, we are working in reputed companies. Indunil is a senior general manager of Brandix Apparel, right, leading apparel manufacturer of the country, and I'm working as the general manager finance of CBL Foods International Private Limited, company which manufactures Munch biscuits, Revelo and Raspberry chocolates, Tiara cake, and so many other confectionery items, right? We have done our sacrification at that time, and in addition to that, both of us are lecturers, and we are disseminating our knowledge with the students like you, right? So we really invested our time in education at that time. Because of that, we were able to like work in reputed organizations when it comes to today. In addition to that, so we are chartered accountants, so it's a prestigious position. People recognize you, right? You are a global asset, right? A lot of people are thinking migrating these days. So if you want to migrate, having the membership is definitely a value addition, right? So you are at the actually the final stage of completing the chartered accountancy qualification, so that invest your time of gathering the knowledge and get through the examination as soon as possible. Even if you stay in the country, right, you don't want to migrate, so enough and plenty of job opportunities are there in the market, because a lot of people are migrating, right? So ensure that you invest your time of gathering the knowledge at the moment. And also I want to add one more food for thought. That is again Robert Collier, another American writer, has mentioned that success is the sum of small efforts repeated. So now let's take this particular course. What you need to do, we have now presented you the study plan. What you need to do is one by one, you need to watch these videos, right? I explained to you, while traveling, you can watch a video. Every day, spend 2 hours of watching and studying these videos, right? So these are actually small efforts, but collectively, once you have taken these things collectively, it's a big leap, right? So you'll be successful in your personal life as well as your career. So these are the things that I wanted to add before I hand over the session to Indunil. So one person has given the correct answer actually. Darshan, you have correctly answered for the question. So the investment in education is the thing that it would pay the highest interest at the moment. But Lahiru and Gauri also has given a good try by looking at the monetary aspects. Yes, monetary aspects, T-bills gives you good investment at this day, in these dates. Right, so with that, I'll hand over the session to Indunil to explain you the most important thing about the curriculum revision with regard to SL1. Over to you, Indunil.
Right, so thanks, Dasun, for the inspiring thoughts. Students, I will briefly discuss this syllabus change. So this slide you already saw. Now, if you look at Dasun, let me share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, we can see, yes.
Yeah, so now when it comes to the syllabus change, one thing is you should not be confused that there is a major syllabus change. It's not a major change, right? So this change actually enable you to view this paper as one paper, and even for examiners to set a paper from one perspective rather than having two papers like auditing and financial reporting, which was the case in some past papers. But now with the mock paper that is going to come, sorry, model paper, or so to speak, pilot paper that's going to come in during this month, most probably, right? You will realize that now the paper is a one paper clearly from students' angle as well as paper setters' angle, right? So Then what is there auditing part? Why the auditing concepts are still there, you might wonder. I will show you in a subsequent slide. Actually, it's about even a CFO should know by looking at how your inventory valuation has changed or how your GP margin has changed from say 20%. It was there last year, and now last year, let's say 10%. Now it has jumped up to 18%. What is behind this? And of course, if this is fraudulently done, CFOs knows that some adjustments were made. But then this subject really enables you, okay, if that valuation is motivated to manipulate as a fraud, or that is arising from internal control deficiency. So that how do you read behind numbers? That's the idea of risk. Now, risk of misstatement is all about how do you read behind numbers to understand whether that overstatement is a result of inherent complexity or internal control deficiency. And the other aspect of this paper is as far as the syllabus change, while this area there is no change, but you need to really understand performance versus conformance. So the performance is about making money, but what is the framework for making money? And that is where the governance comes, right? And then the connectivity in the business in terms of how business makes money and how a number represented, that's where the non-financial reporting comes. And finally, right way of doing this ethics. So syllabus change is only mainly in the first area. Having said that, non-financial reporting, there will be more focus in subsequent exam papers. Now, one thing I wanted to show you, the corporate governance that you know may be different to the real articulation of governance. If I ask you, I challenge all of you in this lecture to explain to me the difference between governance and management. Perhaps you may not be able to answer, right? Now see this diagram from Oxford Press and by a prominent author called Bob Tricker. And this type of knowledge is also given in your syllabus and the study text. See, management is about driving performance of the company, right? So why this circle is superimposed on the triangle to say that the one main purpose of the board is to challenge the decision of the management. And of that, you see some board members, there is a overlapping area, and that is where some directors play an executive role. And then these outside directors play a bigger role in terms of strategy, scrutiny, people, risk, when it comes to the governance. What I mentioned, those four things, let me to repeat: strategy, scrutiny, risk, and people. That's how outside directors put pressure, right? Collectively in the boardroom, they have to govern to make sure that managers are properly strategizing and they operate within a policy framework. And one of the board function is to be accountable to stakeholders. And finally, board is monitoring management. So I said four things, let me to repeat, right? Strategy formulation, policy making, accountability, and I'm talking without looking any book. This is about, this has to be in your mind, right? So, and monitoring. So those four roles are the board functions. So now you will never know this just by reading the corporate governance code in Sri Lanka. If you learn the subject properly, you will get into know all of these topics. So the most critical learning outcomes that have changed. Now, if you ask me what is the most critical documents to study before the exam, your exam is in another 1 month and now you are preparing. How do you know you are ready for the exam? Read all of this. There are 4 pages or 5 pages you may have to read, that is syllabus. Just 4 or 5 pages. Read, because if I am examining, I may decide to test 3.3.1 this paper. So then, when I set a question, what specific knowledge, I said there is an important column in the syllabus called specific knowledge. And very specifically this in the revised syllabus, right? While these learning outcomes are very similar, the main change that you see is that auditing standards have been excluded in this last column. Instead, they are giving some explanation. Now take the last one where case study type question can be tested in your paper, they might say after giving a balance sheet and P&L from the pre-scene, identify how significant business risk may result in risk in financial statement. Now see, as we speak, most of the companies are, they are driving through this crisis time. So they are struggling to meet their revenue target. So there is a lot of pressure. And in this context, the revenue recognition, the possibility of manipulation of sales cutoff is high. And that is one answer you may write. Why? There is a management pressure. Why there is a pressure? This company's revenue has come down significantly because they are selling to a US market. Those customers are also struggling. You will explain this from a risk language, right? So you will explain this as a business risk. There is a crisis not only in Sri Lanka. This company's main customers are in US. Actually, there is a crisis as we speak, right? So there is an economic crisis both in US and Europe right now. Not only Sri Lanka, they are also struggling, right? So now in this context, how you use internal control, the COSO framework, as well as road risk factors to explain this risk. So there is no auditing standard mentioned here. It's all from business angle. Any business should have a risk management process. In that risk management process, the current local crisis, which is also partly fueled by global or geopolitical issues, how my balance sheet is going to be affected, right? So that's the answer that you will write. So therefore, in this section, the reference to auditing standards are not there. So when you watch videos, you will very clearly know. The moment model paper is released, I will do you a live session specifically on this area to understand. So now I just mentioned to you sales cutoff. No, cutoff is here, right? So this cap cover is a very big word in all these learning outcomes. So that's about assertions. The financial statements are complete, accurate, presented properly. The cutoff is right, occurrence, valuation, existence, right? Now there is an art of learning these assertions through internal controls, and that you will see in February. You will watch this video. So January month is fully dedicated as far as my area is concerned, governance, and the syllabus change related topic. By the time you will watch this video, the pilot paper is ready. But now itself, please watch the separate video that I have done on the syllabus change, as well as very soon we will have a live discussion to go through this. So now the important thing you should note with the syllabus change is that this auditing standard book, which was previously allowed, is so very big book. Now, why this is not auditing paper? Why carry an auditing standard? Now it is not there. Instead, Institute will make it available, the relevant chapters in relation to risk of missed statement, and will give you as a separate book. So overall, these in the areas, if you look at these chapters, mostly during January, you will learn all of these topics except ethics. And then when it comes to syllabus change area, the biggest area, I mean, this is a vital chapter, chapter 26, true and fair view and fraud risk. So this area will see a change because auditing focus has been taken out. I mean, that's all. That's also these 9 chapters are very important because in this area, the questions are pretty much aligned to the syllabus. Now, in conclusion, I would like also to inspiring thoughts about success. So I want to spend 2 minutes and give you a very powerful message. I'm happy to say that this part, Dasun asks you an interesting question, that what you should now worry is about not treasury bill, right? But rather than leaving the country, can you be proud to rebuild our country? So I would invite you to rebuild Sri Lanka, right? Be a respectable professional, right? So the investment mindset that I refer here is that every minute of the life is important, every minute, right? If you can make, now see this 1 hour now, how it is adding value, what new thoughts we are trying to inculcate in you And that is an investment mindset. So if you utilize, remember, this doesn't mean money. You have to invest in knowledge. You have to harness, activate, cultivate good qualities in you to be recognized as good human. There are enough and more rich people. And today you can look at the social media and see how these characters, how some of these characters, look at the politicians, what's happening. People are criticizing each other. So how can you be a respectable professional? So investment, you have to invest in knowledge. Second most important aspect is your health. If you are unhealthy, your cholesterol level has gone to this level, you are having sugar. So we have the most powerful thing we got is human life. But if you are not busy, if you are not healthy, right? If you are not fit, what study? You know, when you start study, you start feeling sleepy. You don't have the physical energy, so important. So what are you doing? Are you doing anything to activate your physical energy? Right. Third thing is happiness. I will have one word at the end about happiness. Can you be happy in every moment? Very challenging. The moment you do that, you will be the happiest person. So you have to invest in good qualities, right? Make good friends and contribute to others, right? Try to give up things for others' benefit. You will really be happy. So investment mindset, next, take all of this. The other thing is most of the students says we are very busy, deadlines, we can't study. Especially when you learn a subject like ABR, I must tell you, I must tell this issue with my video. I must tell you that this subject is highly, I'm sure all of you are not working as engineers, right? Some of you are not working as engineers, all are in finance field. What you learn from this subject, definitely some areas, so most areas are connected to work. When you learn about governance, internal controls, try to introduce these concepts. Try to make sure that your financial statements numbers are right. Give some thoughts, give some recommendation to your board, right, to strengthen internal controls, risk management processes, to strengthen the ethical culture of the organization. For example, you don't have a whistleblower, you will use the technology and recommend a framework to come up with a whistleblower. Your board will really happy, and that might be a reason for you to outstand, to be a distinct person in the company. And then the other area is, the third thing is, you know, the famous book you can Google, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey says, the first thing first. Most of you say, today I was very busy, yesterday I was very busy, this deadline, that deadline, month-end budget, so those will never finish. Life is a deadline. If you don't prioritize what is important, right, rather than what is urgent, you will never be successful. So for you, right, like Dasun said, if you think that being a chartered accountant is important, you will never ever deviate from this time schedule, and you will commit to make sure the syllabus is covered in 3-4 months and well ready even to get a prize and to be an exceptional student. The first thing first means, what is the idea? Always prioritize important thing, allocate that time. If you are weak in your language, invest time. If you are a confused person, your mind is always confused, invest time to improve your mind, right? And study, exam, always invest time. Don't worry about deadlines. Urgent things will anyway get done. So you don't need to worry about that. So the last 2 minutes is to talk about happiness. So one thing that I want to tell you, no amount of money can bring you the happiness, right? There was a day that I remember I earned 2,500 as an allowance, right? But if I thought that day, the moment I earn 100,000, I can be happy, I would be happy. That is not true. There are people, right, who earn more than 1 million of salary, maybe several millions of salary. But if you ask them, are they happy? Probably no, because the money can ruin you. Happiness is not about money. Can you be happy in this moment? And that is the biggest happiness. How to live in this moment rather than carrying the baggage from the past and worrying as to what happened yesterday or last week, that I am going to forget all of that and make my life successful from now. And don't unnecessarily dream and dream, not do anything, right? But instead live in the moment, invest in the moment, be happy in the moment, right? So how to do that? Some thoughts. Whatever you do now, give full attention to that. While you are studying, don't think about your girlfriend, family problem, job problem. Forget everything, right? Concentrate fully on what you do now. Even if you do office work, don't get distracted, right? You give full attention to that, you will see the benefit, right? I mean, you will see that how accurate your results, right? For example, very complex session when it comes to study, if you are a confused student, you will spend 10 hours, say, to learn console properly. Instead, one student will spend quality 2 hours and learn, because during that time he is not disturbed. Now I will ask you, close your eyes and take a deep breath. Right? So you can do this for 5 minutes and see the power that you can realize. That means some people don't have time to breathe also, right? So always give at least some time to yourself in a day, right? Just to close your eyes, relax, and see how your breath works, how your body works. Listen to you, and you will gradually improve your mindfulness. That definitely will help you to utilize your study time better. And one of the killer, I would say, is social media. Always a lot of negative news being spreaded, and you are getting distracted. Now, can you, while you are working, always phone is with you, right? How many times phone distract you? Whenever WhatsApp message, something comes, right? And also you see with the social media, how Facebook, whatever, that sometimes you are spending time unnecessarily. Is there any? Of course, this can be used for knowledge, but I mean how it can generates negative thoughts and waste your time, right? So those are uh, very important areas that you need to work on. And finally, I mean, our life is really limited. Now, if you can count, if you live for 70 years, of course, living 100 years is very difficult. 70 years minus how many years you have lived up to now, say 25, the balance is to 365, your answer may be less than 15,000 days, right? Or less than 20,000 days. And that is how short our life. So every day, if you can make something unique to make yourself happy, make others happy, and definitely you will be happy. So that's all. I think questions we have already discussed. If there is any other unanswered thing, we can answer. Otherwise, we don't take don't take this session as a joke. This is very serious. And if you're serious from now, if you work according to our timetable from now, you can be the most successful students, right? So that's all. Anything else? If you have a question, please ask. Dasun, if you want to add anything at the end. Okay.
Yeah, very inspiring thoughts, Indunil. There's nothing which I need to add. Actually, if students are having questions, they can raise, so you can unmute and speak, or else you can use the chat box. Indunil, one student has asked your contact number.
Yeah, sure. So I will view my number. So I'll get
Gauri asked the
Gauri.
contact number, so administration staff will share with you, Gauri.
Yes. Please talk to them. They will share the number. Yes.
Any other questions, students? Right, seems that you don't have any questions. So we wish you all the best for the upcoming examination and hope to see you one day as future chartered accountants. Right. So be good with your studies. Thank you very much for participating and making live on this session. So we wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. All the best. Thanks, Dasun.
Thank you.
Point out.
Thank you.